When I watch videos of people presenting how they use an app or a website, I get overwhelmed pretty quickly because you're seeing their finished product, which is hours and hours of work, and you're starting at the beginning, but they're showing the end. And I like to feel like I can see how it got to that point because the finished product can be a little much. So I'm going to keep this brief and try not to make that same mistake. At least seems like a mistake, maybe not. Um, I really appreciate using Napkin as the service is really powerful. And in particular, I want to start with like what problem it solved for me. I do love reading nonfiction books and I take my annotations, but I feel like over time that I will lose the annotations in the sense that they get buried and ends up disappearing. And I don't always remember everything that I read. So I wanted a repository for where all of my things could live, as well as having connections between this thought and that thought. I've heard that humans are the only animal that have imagination. I have no idea if that's true. But whether it's true or not, the idea that we can create new knowledge from connecting thought A to thought B only works if you see that connection. And I tried Obsidian, which is a wildly popular app that uses plain text, and a lot of people use that for annotations, as I had tried to do. But it just didn't stick for me because the connections weren't made for me. Whereas Napkin all of a sudden made that a game changer. And the thoughts I love putting in Napkin as sort of step two of this is I just love exploring thoughts that don't really have a neatly packaged name. I guess if I was pushed to name them, I would call them dualistic unity thoughts from the Dualistic Unity podcast. And this includes fascinating ideas about who we are, and from Eckhart Tolle to Alan Watts, and having Napkin to put these thoughts there and then tag them is where it really changed and worked for me. So I'll give you a quick overview of that quick and try not to make it too overwhelming. How I end up putting this in is whether it's an author or a quote is I love the way the napkin can connect thoughts for you. So for example, if I hover over trust in this quote or annotation rather from the Fifth Agreement, it's presenting these others here because they have trust in it as well. So what I did was I created a repository of just a list of tags that I found were really helpful as recurring tags that I liked. Napkin will put in its own, but I knew that if I was ever looking to dive into a subject or help someone else about something about the past, for instance, I can just go right up to the magnifying glass and then I can put in past, and there are the 50 different notes or thoughts from Napkin where probably I put the word past in as a tag. And having a list of tags that I refer to allows me to just keep putting in new thoughts with those tags. And the beauty is then, of course, Napkin connects these thoughts. Um, the the other piece of this that makes it really powerful is this readwise integration, because if you're not familiar, the quick version is when I highlight on my Kindle, I end up having so many annotations, but again, they can get lost. And Readwise is a separate website that can pull those out and then say, all right, here are your thoughts that you have underlined. But if they're being pulled into Napkin, as Napkin now does brilliantly, I can just hit this R button and I have read the book, but I don't remember this Eckhart Tolle line because I haven't seen it yet in probably months or over a year, because this is the first time that Napkin has pulled it in from Readwise. So this kind of becomes, I don't drink coffee, but this becomes my morning routine. When I'm sipping my morning hot chocolate, I pick two Napkin thoughts that come from the Readwise integration. And that allows me to put into my 5 minute journal that I do each morning. And I just can't underscore how powerful that is, because previously I was using both Napkin as well as before that Obsidian to have to copy and paste all of these quotes in. And this, of course, does it automatically. And so I see the quote, I love it, and I think, okay, sometimes letting things go is an act of far greater power than defending or hanging on. And I'll look at the tags that I use as my sort of main master list of tags and think, okay, this is cool. Like Napkin put this in for me, but are there other ones I want to add? Because if I add ones that I think are critically or connected to this one, it'll connect to other thoughts that have the same tag, which is really cool. Because then back to that concept of imagination, it's almost like you're creating new thought, and that to me is really powerful for myself as well as anyone else that I want to share with. So this is a hopefully brief overlook at how I use Napkin. And I would say that the bonus piece that I love is when I find a thought that just really strikes me as so powerful. I put the tag pin. So you can see I have 208 pinned thoughts. If I click that here, or rather click the play button, and then I close this, I can see them here, but it's kind of nice to see on the main screen. These are this is related to this. Notice that if I hover over pin, they darken. And so they're connected with other tags. And let's see, their effort, they're connected with effort. But this particular Socrates quote just struck me as something I just want to be able to see as something consistently. So it really sticks with me. And if I can click either, I think the down arrow or the thought itself, and you can see idea tagged pin. I got 206 more to go. This is another one from Book Fifth Agreement that I just absolutely love. So that's my hopefully kind of brief overview, maybe not, an Napkin, hopefully not overwhelming one. And I am very appreciative of Fabian and David for all the work they've done into this app.